your cues with
Sara
and Meagen.
Woohoo! Yeah! We're gonna have fun!
This week's topic is behavior management and the challenges that it brings.
Brings a bunch of those.
Can you manage?
Can you?
Are you up for the challenge?
You better be.
Well, let's see what we have to say about this week's topic.
So a lot of people have been asking us to talk about behavior management and whatever. All you teachers have been writing in talking about how your kids are biting you and hitting you and just saying terrible things to you that make you just want to cry. Boo-hoo. Anyway, so we have some helpful hints and information.
Meagen,
Did you know that behavior management is becoming a growing problem in classrooms today?
Well, duh, Sarah. I mean, kids are just not taught the respect that they used to be taught. Not nowadays. I mean, it was strict.
Yeah, strict days, hard times. But yeah, I mean, and not to mention the way that kids even look at discipline is just completely changed. When they think strict discipline, they think things like physical abuse and psychological abuse.
And that's terrible. Like, no wonder they're acting out and misbehaving.
You're probably right, Meagen. That's exactly some of the things that the teachers have been writing in and wanting us to help them with. So I think we should look at our first post.
Let's go to our first post.
Okay.
Kayla wrote in, I'm having the hardest time getting the attention of my class. They get so rowdy and out of hand that I can't pull them back into the lesson. Help!
Well, Kayla, we hear you, girl. And we are going to go talk to a teacher from Sachs Elementary School, Miss McDaniel, and she's going to help you.
Miss McDaniel, how do you get the attention of all the students in your classroom once you need them to start focusing?
Okay. I do a lot of active engagement strategies. For instance, I'll say class, 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 and they respond yes, yes, yes. Or I'll do a particular class, and they'll yes. But most importantly, I do a lot of active engagement, and everybody
That's a
seems
pretty
to tune
effective
in.
way to grab the students' attention.
Yeah, it seemed to work great in her class, but I think it's important to realize that there are a lot of other ways to do it too if that way didn't work for you, you know?
Yeah, like our text talks about you can use really unusual methods like turning on music or something like that. And that's something that one of my teachers in elementary school used to do. They used to turn on music really low while we did our classwork, and my class loved it.
Yeah, like music or like outside music, like the waterfalls and stuff. That'd be good.
Like the nature.
Yeah. Well, my teacher used to stand behind her podium, and when we saw her behind that podium, we knew she was being serious, and we knew to pay attention.
Oh, yeah.
And she also used to give us ways to, like, let us know that we had, like, 5 minutes left on this test. And I really liked that as a student because it made me learn how to pace myself.
Another problem with attention in the classroom is when all those kids want your attention at one time. I mean, like, all those kids just keep raising their hand. They're just like, Miss So-and-so,
Pick
Miss
me,
So-and-so,
pick me.
Miss So-and-so.
Ooh, can I have a cookie?
They're just going to keep talking until you pay
Interrupting
attention.
you.
Like,
just like this.
Let's see what
Hey,
Miss
Meagen.
McDaniel has.
Just like that. They do that.
Let's see what Miss McDaniel has to say about this. So maybe that.
We know it must be hard to help every student that is asking for assistance. So how do you go about dispersing your attention to each of the students that are in need?
Okay. As I am teaching a skill, I usually ask the class what number class, and it points to what number. So I specifically make sure that every student is on task at the same time. What number, they'll respond number 1, and we'll work a problem or two together. But it goes back to that active engagement. If I have their attention, everybody's feeling like they're being waited on, or that I'm
I can't
paying
get
them
over
some
how
attention.
helpful that was to me right now. Like, thank you so much, Miss McDaniel. That was, wow. Anyway, okay, well, another good way to respond to someone who is behind or needs help with their work or something is to do a one-on-one type thing with them. You know, make them really feel like you care and you're really wanting to help them, and you want to see that they know how to do the lesson.
Right, just pull them to the side or something, and just give them extra attention, extra time.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Well, I've seen teachers use whiteboards. Have you ever seen?
Oh my God! When I was a kid, I used to love whiteboards.
Didn't you love, like, the teacher whipped out the whiteboards and you were
zoned in the zone.
party zone, yeah, and it just gives each of the students just an opportunity to answer because they just want their voice to be heard.
Well, that, and it shows the teacher that everybody's, getting the concept of the lesson. Like when they put their answer on the board, the teacher can really easily look around the room and
Really
see
assess if they're
who's got the wrong answer and who's got the right answer. It's It's a win-win.
You're right. Well, I think we need to move on to our next question.
Okay. All right, well, let's see. Amanda wrote in and said, I have this student that refuses to engage in any lesson I teach. It's so frustrating as a teacher. Sad face. How can I motivate this student?
Okay, Amanda. We're going to get you some help. We're going to go talk to Miss Jones.
We realize that not every student shows the same willingness to engage in a lesson or in classwork. How would you approach a lesson to motivate a student like this?
Because most of my class is really struggling to be engaged and they do not have good attention spans, I have to modify each lesson and try to specifically find what it is that they're going to be interested about. Some of my kids are really fascinated with animals. Some of them are really fascinated with trains. One is really fascinated with vacuum cleaners. So whenever I can work in that thing that they really like, be it a concept that we can relate to the topic we're talking about, or a reward, especially food, tangible prizes, things that they can win by participating, that's what we work in to get them motivated to attend the lesson.
Interesting.
Well, Amanda, I really hope that was some helpful information for your question. I feel like it was probably pretty good.
That was good.
But here's some additional information.
Here's the A to your Q.
From us.
From the experts. We found that the best thing to do is to give them choices.
Kids love choices. They don't feel obligated to do things when you give them a choice.
It's kind of like that order thing, like that eating your dessert first. Kids just want to eat dessert first. And sometimes you just gotta let them eat dessert first.
Who doesn't? I mean, really. Like, we grew up thinking that dessert goes last, but
But if a kid will eat his food when he eats his dessert first, just let him eat his dessert first.
Yeah, and you can almost, kind of trick your kids a little bit by giving them two choices that are actually beneficial to them. Like, you want to do math first or spelling first? Mm-hmm. That way they feel like they're making the decision, but really they're still learning.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win. Another win-win.
And then another thing is just appealing to their interest.
Oh, yeah.
If a boy likes dump trucks, try to make your lesson about dump trucks.
Yeah.
If a girl loves fairies, try to make something about fairies. I mean,
not very hard, people. I mean,
come
on.
It's just simple. It's just,
Think
you don't want to
it.
sit there and listen to something you're not interested in. So just appeal to those interests.
Yeah.
And then, lastly, see how they work in a group. See if
they like group work better than individual. Sometimes kids perform better when they're in groups.
Yeah, maybe they need that support of a group or that motivation from the group.
A little confidence boost, You never know. I mean, really, there's a lot of ways to see what works best for your class, and it's just important to understand how to manage it in order to try. Okay, well, let's move on and see what our next viewer is having issues with in their classroom.
Taylor writes in,
I'm having a hard time with a particular student constantly talking out. It's a complete disruption. Can y'all help me?
Yes, we can. Tulsi, how do you respond when a student is constantly disrupting your classroom?
Well, it's probably different in our classroom because each child probably has a different reason that they're acting out. For some children, I might choose to ignore it because they might want my attention. I might choose that. I might try to redirect them back to the activity. I might try to get them more involved in the activity, just go one-on-one for a minute and then try to get back to the group. But it's sort of an individual thing that we just have to, I hate to say it, but it really depends on the child and the situation that we're in.
Saks Elementary School, and I feel like that was some pretty helpful information, Taylor. I really hope that helped you out.
that woman seemed to know what she was talking about.
She's had a lot of experience in her day,
You
so
can tell.
she knew a lot. She was fun to talk to. Anyway, here's some more additional information, though, that we think might could help you, Taylor.
Yeah. So in reading, I found that some of the best things you can do with frequent talking out is just praise the students that are sitting there quietly and attentively.
Thank you so much, Tommy, for sitting there quietly and not interrupting me.
Yeah, and then maybe it would motivate the other students to do the same because they want that good attention instead of bad attention. And then another way is just ignore.
And that sounds so hard to do, especially when a child is in your face saying,
Just
Help me. Like, I want to talk out.
Miss King.
Tapping you on the
Miss King.
shoulder constantly. You just gotta ignore it.
Just
That's
try
one of the best
to
ways.
ignore so it doesn't interfere with your lesson.
Are you hearing this right now? You know, it's also important for the teacher to have good self-control and, you know, not let their emotions get the best of them. Like, when you're teaching a class and you've had a bad day, don't start crying in the middle of your class.
Or just taking it out on the students and getting angry.
When a student interrupts you, don't start crying or get mad because that's not good.
No, because what you've done is now that student isn't going to understand what they've done wrong.
And they're going to be like, ah!
They're just going to see your emotion, and that's all they're going to be able to focus on.
Okay, everybody, we have time for one last write-in of the day. So let's go to Shelly's question.
I have a student that is constantly harming himself and others. How am I supposed to handle this?
With 3 exclamations, so that must be a big deal.
Oh, no. She needs help.
Yeah. Okay, Shelly, we are going to go talk to Miss Jones again and see what she has to say about
how's the best way to respond to violent behavior?
The first thing you have to do when you're responding to violent behavior is follow your school board's policies and procedures on that. In Calhoun County, we are certified, those of us who typically work with students who do show aggressive and violent behavior, we're all certified in a handling technique called Handle with Care that shows us, teaches us restraint techniques if the student is hurting themselves or hurting someone else, be it a staff or a peer. So that's our go-to thing. The Handle with Care has de-escalation techniques. Verbally, you know, we would try to separate the student from the situation. We might try to distract them to get their mind off of whatever has upset them. If it's an actual physical attack, be it against another student, themselves, or a teacher, then we just generally go straight into a physical restraint. That is very calm for them. You know, it helps them to calm down.
Shelly, about some things to do before it gets that bad.
Yeah, the most important thing is to remain calm because they're going to feed off your energy.
Exactly.
So remain calm, lower your voice, talk slowly, so it's just non-threatening. You don't want them to escalate to that. Just be just be nice.
Be peaceful.
Make sure to set consequences with your misbehaved children and let them remember.
Let them know what's going to happen when they
just
misbehave.
keep reminding them
so that they know what their
the consequences are.
We've learned ways to deal with defiant behavior, violent behavior, attention in your classroom, dispersing your attention to everybody in your classroom, and all kinds of stuff. So maybe this information will keep you around for at least the next 10 more years until everything changes, just like always. But just as a helpful reminder from Megan and Sarah, above all else, encourage your students. I mean, don't always resort to punishment. It's shown in studies that teachers with more punitive measures have students who are less willing to learn, that are more aggressive, that show just no motivation in school. So, above all else, encourage.
Okay.
Good job, Sarah.
Yeah, good job. Okay, thanks for listening.